Let's jump into a new Reddit story. Our title today is, Am I the butthole if we don't pay for my son's rehearsal dinner because I can't stand his fiancée? Buckle up and get ready for an amazing story. Original post, July 31, 2025. OP and her husband have 3 sons, Louis, 32, Cyril, 27, and Jaime, 22. OP is navigating the complex family dynamics, mainly with her son Louis and his fiancée, Jessa. OP is closer with her sons and their partners, but she feels uneasy about Jessa due to political differences and Jessa's deceptive hostility towards Jaime's wife, Lucy. Jessa made snide comments about Lucy, and there are tensions surrounding her wedding, particularly concerning the rehearsal dinner. OP is conflicted about paying for the dinner, as she feels it may enable Jessa's treatment of Lucy, but her husband suggests they should let it go to avoid conflict. She's concerned about maintaining a good relationship with her children and their partners, but doesn't want to overlook behavior that hurts Lucy, whom she's very close to. She asks if withholding payment would make her an asshole. Update number 1, August 2, 2025, 2 days later. After inviting her son Louis to lunch to discuss rehearsal dinner and wedding plans, OP learned there are significant tensions between Louis and Jaime, which she hadn't realized was so severe. Louis expressed frustration with Jaime, accusing him of being controlling and unsupportive, particularly regarding the wedding. This revelation was shocking, as both brothers had always been close, and she's unsure how to proceed. OP was not sure about making an intervention, as her husband thinks Louis and Jaime should work it out on their own, and she's unsure whether to get involved in the family drama or let things unfold. With the wedding approaching closer, she's left navigating her role in this difficult situation. Update number 2, August 9th, 2025, 1 week later. Please be kind to me. I know that I have not been a perfect mother or mother-in-law, and I know these issues aren't mine to fight, but my family is falling apart. Last weekend, my son Jamie and his wife Lucy went out of town for a concert. My husband and I stayed home and had Letty, and we had a great time, although they probably FaceTimed us every 2 hours all day Saturday. Saturday evening, Lucy and Jessa invited us out to dinner. We told them we could go somewhere, but would need to be home by 8 for Letty to go to bed, or they could come to our place and we could get takeout and hang out here. I assumed they wanted to talk about the rehearsal dinner. They didn't respond until after I got home from church, and my son just texted me and said, "We were thinking somewhere nicer, never mind." Kind of odd, but whatever. Everyone got home safely, but Jessa and Louis skipped our Sunday dinner the next day. Then a few days ago, I was home with Lucy and Letty, and Louis came over with Jessa to pick up the ring. Louis has this thing with Letty where he'll walk in and say, "Ring, ring," and she'll yell, "Hello!" And then he picks her up and gives her hugs and kisses. But he came in and was just ignoring her, so she ran up with her arms out and yelled, "Hello!" And he just walked past her. He got what he needed and they left, but I was appalled. I asked Lucy if we should tell Jamie, and she just said that we probably shouldn't. But how are you going to be rude to your niece? She's also his goddaughter, just because you're mad at her dad? But that brings us to yesterday. I was out grocery shopping. Apparently, keep in mind, I was not there. Luis came over to bring something to my husband, who was outside/in the garage with Jamie and Letty. Luis and Jamie got into an altercation that became physical. My husband says that Luis instigated the physical fight, but he's not sure of the rest since his only goal was to get Letty inside. When he got back outside, it seemed over and nobody was hurt, but they were still yelling at one another. My husband told Luis to leave, and when he did, had Jamie go downstairs to cool down. I asked him what even started the fight. He said he isn't even sure. Everything escalated so quickly, and I have never seen him so shaken in so long. We don't know how we're going forward, but I finally agree with you all. This is Jamie and Luis's issue to work out. I can't blame myself, and I certainly can't fix it myself. My husband and I told Luis he was no longer welcome at our home, and he lashed out at us, telling us we were taking his side. And I told him, listen, he attacked his brother in front of his child. They both deserve to live somewhere they feel safe. The other thing is that Luis works for my husband, and he's well within his rights to make him do a drug test. As for the wedding, I have no idea what to do. My husband says we should just give them the money we promised them and be done with it. That breaks my heart, but it might be the only way. Jamie just has told me a few times we just need to get through the wedding and maybe things will work themselves out. I don't know if he means that, to be honest. I'm just so sick. I wish there was something I can do. I am trying to set up some time to spend with my middle son, Cyril. I feel bad that he's in the middle of all of this too, and don't want him to think I've forgotten about him. Update number 3, August 14, 2025, 5 days later. Update to not wanting to pay for my son's rehearsal dinner because I can't stand his fiancée. I have posted before. This is an update, and this will probably be my last update, and I apologize that it's kind of long. I'll try summarizing it at the end. I am completely destroyed about all of this. I mentioned in my last post, my husband and I told Jaime he needed to tell us the truth about everything. Lucy was working, and he put Letty to bed, so it was just the three of us. He kept skirting the subject, and I finally got so mad and told him, listen, you're living in my home, and now you're physically fighting your brother. If you don't tell me what's going on, your daughter can stay here, but you and Lucy will need to find somewhere else to live if you want to keep secrets like this. He got angry and wouldn't answer me anymore. We fought a bit more, and he went to bed. I told my husband I meant it, and he was like, I don't know what else to do. Luckily, my son came to us the next morning and told us everything, from his point of view. Basically, for the 4th of July, we had fireworks in our neighborhood. So Cyril, Rosa, Luis, and Jessa came over. We still have rooms for them, and since Rosa's dog was at her parents', they all had a bit too much to drink and all spent the night. Later, when my husband and I had already gone to bed and they were all hanging out, Cyril and Lucy went for a walk and smoked a joint. I'm not saying I approve of this or anything. I've never seen her high, but I've heard them make jokes because she doesn't drink, but I guess sometimes does smoke. So basically, the only person who was fully sober was Luis, but he had just gotten LASIK, couldn't drive at night, and was a little out of it in general. Anyways, Jessa flipped out when she found out about the pot and started yelling at Lucy. She said she was a mandated reporter, and since Jaime had been drinking, she was endangering her child by smoking weed. Brought up that kidnapped British child and just laid into her. Lucy got upset and went to bed, and Jaime argued with Jessa. He admitted it got pretty nasty from both of them, basically. Jaime called Jessa out for her behavior towards his wife in general. Jessa told him that she was just saying the truth, and it's ridiculous that they call themselves married when they only got married because they had a baby and for insurance and would be divorced in a few years anyways. Jaime told her she's just bitter, that she's still in her mid-30s and unmarried. This was low. She had an engagement that ended because her fiancé cheated on her with her friend. Jessa then went for the jugular and told him that it was embarrassing for him and Letty to even be in their wedding because it was trashy being so young with the baby, and that Letty would have been better off being adopted by a nice family who was wanting a child. Jaime told her if it was so embarrassing for her, his family didn't need to go the wedding and it wouldn't be anything off his back. He then went inside to go to bed. Louis followed him into the house and asked him not to drop out of the wedding. He said everyone was just drunk and said cruel things and promised Jessa wasn't going to call CPS. Jaime still said he couldn't be his best man and that he didn't want his wife or daughter to ever be alone with Jessa until she apologized. And that's when the whole Lucy shouldn't go to the reception so she can watch her daughter, and she shouldn't spend money on things that aren't Letty stuff started. Lucy was really scared of rocking the boat and was just going along with it. Jaime had been trying to get to her and convince her that nothing was going to happen, but she was freaked out. So of course I asked if he hasn't told us any of this because he also believed that this was a problem. How often is she getting high? He just laughed and said, maybe 2 or 3 times a month. He's not worried, and she's certainly not since the 4th. Weed is legal in our state, and I know Cyril smokes often, lol, but only if you're over 21. So Lucy has been embarrassed and especially hasn't wanted my husband and I to know any of this. I wanted to get my other son's sides, and Cyril agreed to meet my husband and me later that day, and his version was the same as Jaime's. Almost worse because he and Rosa stayed outside and kept arguing with Jessa. And I know you all think I forget about my middle son, but he knows that he's my drama-free king who never causes me any headaches. I asked if he thought Letty was being neglected or if Jaime or Lucy had a problem, and it was a resounding no. He told us that he thought that Louis and Jessa were out of their minds and just looking for drama. Apparently, after Jaime had left the fire, Jessa continued ranting about Lucy, saying she was inappropriate with Louis because in his phone her name had an emoji by it. I can confirm this, it's a car, because before Louis got his license back, the joke was that Lucy was his Uber driver. She also talked about not wanting me to watch her kids if Letty was there, because she thought that since her parents were teens, she'll be a bad influence on her and Louis's kids. Cyril said he and Rosa also want to drop out of the wedding, but Jaime begged him to stay on to avoid any more drama. Finally, he said that he's tried talking to Louis as well, and as much as he blames Jessa, he feels like Louis has to be blamed as well more than anyone for going along with everything. At this point, we were devastated and confronted Louis about his side. He continued to avoid the question, so I was very clear. We told him what his brother said and asked if any of it was true because I had wanted him to get a chance to give his full story without any bias. But he refused to say anything until I relayed what Jaime and Cyril told us. He didn't deny any of it, actually has assumed that I knew about it and that Jaime had told me and asked me to withhold the money unless Lucy was invited to the wedding, which has been setting him off. I asked him if he thought that Letty was being neglected by Lucy or Jaime. They live in my home, and I needed to know if he truly believed that we had reason to be concerned about my granddaughter's safety. He didn't answer directly and was like, see, this is just proof that all you care about is Jaime and his kid, and Jaime needed to realize he wasn't perfect. So I asked him again, and he avoided the question again. My husband asked him then and there if he could pass a drug test because he was ranting and getting flustered, but not actually saying anything. He brought up some other things, including a specific relaxed conversation that Jessa was a part of, and I still have no idea why she would be upset by it. I could tell Luis was deeply hurt by that, and I think my husband regretted it. Luis told us the only person we should be drug testing was Lucy, and made us leave. But the next day sent over a confirmation that he took drug tests at the lab we've used before, and when we received the results, he passed. Later this week, he handed in his notice. He works for my husband. He's taken a position at a competitor. My husband is devastated because it obviously means he's been talking to said competitors, as offers don't just happen out of the blue, in his opinion, but paid out his notice, and that was his last day. During all of this, but after we'd confronted Luis, my husband and I started discussing how we would move forward. We knew at this point that the boys would need to work this out themselves. If I'm going to be honest, after getting all the sides of the story, we were leaning towards being on Jaime and Lucy's side, although we acknowledged the mistakes they made, since it all seemed like a severe overreaction on Jess's part after months of rude bullying towards them. We talked about possibly talking to them, booking therapy, anything to try to fix all of this. But on Tuesday, our decision was made for us. It was possibly the worst day of most of our lives. I was at home with Letty and Lucy, and a caseworker from Family Protective Services came to our home based on a report. We were all interviewed, and they did a walkthrough of the house. I don't know if we're going to get an official notice or anything, but the caseworker seemed nice and told us she saw nothing to move forward on, but left some stuff about services for Lucy and Jaime. They are completely traumatized, and so am I if I'm being honest, and have been glued to Letty ever since Tuesday, as if somebody is going to take her from them. Even Letty can tell they are sad. I've spoken with Lucy, who kept assuring me she only ever smoked on some weekends and never when Letty was awake. I told her that I believed her. She kept offering to take a drug test. And even if I didn't, nobody is going to take a happy, healthy, and safe child from her parents, even if she was smoking every day. But I can tell she doesn't believe me.
Jaime confronted Luis that evening, via text, he refuses to see him, and asked if it was him or Jessa. Luis told him it didn't matter, so Jaime told him he was dead to him and blocked his number. Rosa dropped out of the wedding, and Cyril is staying on as best man but won't attend the reception or give a speech. He wanted to back down completely, but Louis convinced him to stay on for the ceremony at least. I told him he should do what he thinks is best. He says he still wants to drop out, but is worried it might lead to something worse. He said something and was completely heartbroken, but was kind of like, well, there's still time for them to turn against me and try to ruin my life, so we'll see how this goes. I think he's trying to protect his little brother by not pissing them off more, but I can tell how miserable he is. My husband and I are completely broken about all of this. We told Louis that while we would always love him, but we could not support him or his marriage after he and or his fiancée wasted CPS resources to get revenge on his brother, and that he needed to come over and get the rest of his stuff, documents we were keeping for him, childhood stuff that wouldn't have fit in his apartment, and to let us know exactly when he would be doing this, because Jaime and his family were not going to be there. Maybe we shouldn't have, but we confronted him when he came over, asking him again if he truly believed that his niece was in any danger. He told me that it didn't matter what he thought, we'd always defend Jaime, who he said would get over it once this all blew over. I told him he very much would not be getting over this, and very likely he would never see his brother or his niece ever again. I don't know if he didn't realize before then how serious this all was or what, but he kind of backtracked and told us to tell Jaime to call him. We told him multiples that wouldn't happen, and he got angry and desperate before blaming us, saying that we're the reason for this mess. We should have made Jaime figure his own life out and not babied him. I remember yelling at him that if he'd had his own way, I would still be doing his laundry and packing him lunch, and to remember that he lived her for longer than Jaime has or plans to. My husband and he started fighting, and it ended with Luis telling us that he was going to start his own family and didn't need us, and blamed us for all of his problems. I was done with that and told him to get out if he was just going to say things with no examples or explanations to back it up. He didn't ask about the money, but I was ready to tell him I was saving it in case we would need a lawyer for all of his bullshit. I know it would be easy to blame Jessa, and it's hard not to because I can see her influence in all of this, but my son is the problem, and he, or his fiancée with his knowledge and support, has done something so unforgivable, I don't think he will ever see his brother's family again, and it will be a long time before my husband and I want to see him. I will always love him, and if I got a call tomorrow saying that he needed a kidney, a lung, bone marrow, I would go straight to the hospital to give it to him. If he needed to go back to rehab, I would go back to work and work nights to pay for it. And my heart feels like it has the flu or something because I know if he has children, I'm unlikely to know, much less meet them. But I can't forgive him for this. And he hasn't even attempted to apologize. I've never been so sad. In conclusion, Jessa got angry with Lucy for smoking marijuana on the 4th of July and threatened to call CPS. Jaime defended her and attacked Jessa, which caused the past few weeks of fighting. After confronting everyone, Luis was acting odd and we asked for a drug test. He passed and quit working for my husband to work for his competitor, and then either he or Jessa made a report to CPS about Letty. They found nothing, but Lucy and Jaime are traumatized, and we've all pulled out of the wedding. I've never been so sad.
Let's now review some of the most relevant comments from our readers. User 1 said, "Looks like Louise feels Jaime is the golden child. Your posts also seem to suggest it. While Jessa seems obnoxious, your eldest son has stated quite clearly you favor your youngest. So while this incident is his fault, I somehow feel you and Dad created this situation. Louis simply needs us more right now. We've spent years and hundreds of thousands of dollars supporting Louis to get him to a good place. His brothers didn't complain and say we were favoring him then. My middle son doesn't think we favor anyone. Louis is the only one saying it. I'm sure we could have done things better in the past and we wouldn't be here, but here we are." User 2 said, "Wow, seems Louise feels you favor your youngest over him. As for the weed issue, in my state, even before it was legal, CPS wouldn't remove a child over that. They look at it like this: us the child well taken care of, fed, clothed, housed properly? If yes, then we have much more serious cases we'll deal with. A report will be filed stating a home visit was made and all is fine. Usually it's on the parents' records for about 5 years before it's sent to long-term storage. Yes, that seems to be what will happen. It's been hard getting answers about next steps because they keep telling them there aren't any. We've never had to deal with anything like this before. It's not like we'll need to know to prepare or anything if a caseworker comes. It's just more the constant threat of it now is causing them dread." User 3 asked, "Was there a falling out that led to Louis and Jaime's situation? One of Jessa and her friends had a falling out, and the ex-friend sent Jaime a screenshot of a text where she was saying rude things about Jaime and Lucy. He had confronted Louis, who was telling him not to take it so personally. So Jaime said something equally rude about Jessa. Louis punched him for it. Yes, I mentioned it in my post, but not to my son." Welp, you son just nuked his relationship with his entire family, so his fiancée achieved her goal of completely isolating him. There's no coming back from calling CPS out of spite. You can keep the door open for your son if you like, but I don't see his siblings having a relationship with him ever again. Hopefully one day he comes to his senses. I agree. I can't ever full cut my son off, but his brother can, and I don't blame him. I'd be telling him the door is open for him, but firmly shut for Jessa until she apologizes and gets the therapy she desperately needs. Nobody has any intention of ever forgiving Jessa. I can only not shut the door on my son, but the hope of reconciliation between the boys is non-existent. It's almost like he died. And a few extra clarifications from OP in the comments section. Regarding how Lucy felt about Louis's accusations, OP said, "It is sad because they were close, Lucy and Louis, and she never said no to giving her a ride unless she was in class to at work. There's no public transportation where we are. Well, there is, but it's not convenient. But of course our area is still car-reliant. He was spending quite a bit on Ubers, and she knew he was trying to save up to move out. She has been very quiet, of course, lately, but even she's admitted she feels betrayed. Louis was the first person other than her parents to hold and even be told about Letty. He used to give Jamie money to take Lucy out on dates and watch Letty. They were so close, and now might never talk again. Letty asks about him every day, and it's killing me. I was not lying. I would truly and honestly give an organ to magically fix this." Regarding attending Louis and Jess's wedding, OP said, "We will not be attending. Cyril does not want to, but wants to avoid further drama, and Louis is putting a lot of pressure on him. He doesn't want anything worse to happen, but won't be taking pictures after or going to the reception." Louis confronted Lucy, September 1, 2025, 2.5 weeks later from the previous update. I don't really know why I'm posting here, but kind of want to get it off my chest, I guess. Jaime is out of town this weekend for a bachelor's party, so it's just been the 4 of us.
Yesterday, I sent Lucy to take Letty to pick out some mums because I love that little girl, but I cannot bear the soda pop song again. Lol. But Louis came up to her at the garden center and apparently started ranting at her about Jaime, as if Lucy herself had no reason to be angry with him, telling her that she should leave him, that he's an asshole, and that Louis is getting the tattoo that they'd both gotten together removed. Lucy doesn't even want to tell Jaime about it, because we all know he'll just be pissed off. But I told her shouldn't hide stuff from him. I don't know. I don't even know if I trust my own advice these days. Edit. OMG, I can't believe I didn't add the good news. I've been working to talk about good news more. But Cyril and Rosa put an offer on a house, and it got accepted. And the best part, it's so close. A 10-minute walk or a 3-minute drive. I knew they were looking, but I had no idea they were going to make an offer. So close, but not close enough to be a Marie from Everybody Loves Raymond. My husband keeps joking about how he needs to invest in home goods because I can't stop finding things I think they'll like. I get a receipt, lol. Let's review some relevant comments from our readers. Commenter 1 said, I'm so sorry for what you and your family are going through. It's hard to see a loved one go on the toxic route and have to remove yourself from them because of it. I hope he comes around soon before it's too late. You are an amazing mom and grandma. Don't forget that. The OP said, thank you. It's just infuriating. Luis used to be so thoughtful and considerate, and apparently he just kept saying things like, oh, I know Jaime is angry with me. And Lucy was like, I'm angry with you. And he had no idea why she would be. I'm so devastated. Commenter 1 responded, is there a possibility that Luis has a thing for Lucy and Jessa has suspicions about this? The OP said, I really doubt that. He's known her since she was like 14 and he would have been almost 30. Luis isn't like that. Commenter 2 said, she did good, no point in engaging with him in his current state of mind. But you said Letty was there, and in your previous post you mentioned how she missed him, and it was a shock to suddenly not have him in her life. Did he acknowledge her this time, and how is she doing now in regard to him? I assume that apart from this accidental meeting, nobody has had contact with Luis recently. Is Cyril still going to be his best man? By the way, congrats to them getting the house. Bet you're looking forward to having more grandkids so near. The OP said, yes, he apparently acted normal and sweet to Letty. I don't know his problem. Cyril will still be in the ceremony, but they don't talk much. And he and Rosa are undecided about kids, but just having them close will be wonderful. Commenter 3 said, I'm so sorry you're having to deal with this. I agree, it is hard to wrap one's mind around the why of it. I guess that's why you might feel sometimes that it's hard to trust your own judgment or advice. But from all you have been writing here, I think you are really doing the best that can be done in the circumstances. Not sure what to think of Cyril's involvement in the ceremony and what kind of message it sends. I remember you saying he is the drama avoider, but is him being the best man really avoiding drama in this case? You mentioned once they're holding STH against him, and I hope this is not a big concern. Please keep us updated. Reddit is usually pastime, but I catch myself checking your profile every now and then because my heart really goes out to you, and I hope for a good outcome for your family. OP, thank you. Yes, Cyril likes avoiding conflict, but honestly, it's my youngest son that's begging him just to do it so as not to create more drama. He's not going to the reception or bachelor party or anything. He and Rosa have made other plans that night, and Jaime and Lucy are taking Letty to the Rocky Mountains for the weekend, so none of us will be available. Final update. October 27, 2025, nearly 2 months later. Update. Am I the butthole for not wanting to pay for my son's rehearsal dinner because I can't stand his fiancée? I went to post on AITAH and got yelled at, LOL. I guess I have to post this here? Oh well. Thanks for listening to me the past few months. I lied, and this will actually be my last update. The wedding was last weekend. I didn't go. The weather was bad, but I went with my friends to the No Kings protests. Despite the weather, my city came out strong against the Trump administration, and all the pictures from around the country were beautiful to see. But I somehow don't feel like anything is ever going to get better. Does anyone else feel that way? For some reason, a few weeks ago I got a bunch of messages asking me what race Lucy was. My husband is from Mexico, Lucy and I are white, and Rosa's family is Hispanic. You can figure out the rest from there. About a week before the wedding, Louis reached out to me, my husband, and Jaime about changing our minds about attending. He seemed better than usual and just said that he didn't want anything to happen that we couldn't take back. Jaime and Lucy had already planned to take Letty camping that weekend. He obviously didn't respond, but told me he wouldn't blame us if we went and he wouldn't know. I don't think he was trying to be manipulative. I know he's hurting over all of this. I did think about it a lot. Louis is still my son, and even though I don't like him at all, I still love him and do want him to be happy. But I don't know if it's stress or what, but I tried on the dress I was going to wear, and it was too big. Is it bad that that was the final nail in me not going? I mean, I was 99% not going, but it was almost as if it gave me the final permission not to. Cyril said it went fine. He was just there for the ceremony. Some of our family attended, but no one of the ones from out of the country. My husband doesn't want them coming here for a while, which is so sad. We always hosted them for Christmas, and it's going to feel so lonely this year. I really want to maybe go down to Mexico for the holidays, but with Rosa and Jaime's jobs not being super flexible, I don't think we'll be able to. He said folks at the wedding were talking about Jessa and Louis moving to Redacted, which is where a lot of her family is. The guy who owns the company Louis went to work for, he's sort of what the kids would call a frenemy of my husband's, haha, has been talking about opening a branch in the South, so that would make sense. Please don't take this the wrong way. I know there are lovely people in Alabama, but one of my dear friends in my prayer group is from Redacted and has told me it is still a violently racist place. She is black, and I know there are other elements going on down there, but it makes me so anxious. There is good news for us. Cyril and Rosa closed on their house. My husband and Jaime have been over there most nights helping fix some stuff up. Cyril has been wanting to propose for a while, and he asked me to go ring shopping with him soon. Rosa knows she has sent him a variety of rings she likes, but wants to be surprised. I have some family heirlooms he could pick from, but none of them look like what she's looking for, so I told him I would either give him one to have redesigned or money toward the new one. Some of you might be mad about that, but whatever. Life is short and it's my money. Lucy also was able to get credit for her internship this summer, which is exciting because it means she can graduate a semester early in the spring. Unfortunately, between that and Cyril's house, Jaime has been on one about them moving into a place of their own, which I know they are adults and a family and I can't do anything about it, but I so wish they'd stay for a few more years. I just don't think they'd be happy renting. There's an older couple a few blocks over who I bring communion to, and they've been talking about moving in with their daughter, but they don't want their house to be sold to an investment company or anything. I told my husband that we could buy it as an investment and they could rent from us, but he told me he was going to send me to busybody jail and that a crappy rental apartment won't kill them. I guess I also know that a lot of living in this house reminds Jaime and Lucy and Letty, but it's affecting him most, of Louis. But all of this has really shown me that you don't know what's going to happen. I don't regret anything I've ever done for my children, and I'm not going to stop helping them. My husband and I are in a good place money-wise, and we won't be able to take it with us. Let's review some of the relevant comments from our readers. Commenter 1 said, "Thank you so much for updating. Nothing really came as a surprise, but still I'm somehow taken aback that there wasn't a different kind of resolution. Don't know how to explain it rationally, really. I am sorry that she managed to alienate him so much, and in this prospective move near her family, it will cement it all. Really sorry, OP, that he didn't come around. Your heart can hurt, but it can also rest assured you did all right and all you could have in the circumstance. So much more joy to come around in your family. I wish you all well. Busybody jail is an awesome term. OP, I am sorry he didn't come around too. I don't know if him apologizing would have made a difference to Jaime at this point, but maybe it would have. But he didn't, so it didn't matter. And yes, I am a regular visitor to Busybody Jail. Commenter 2 said, "Thank you for sharing. It's good the wedding went well. I hope him and his wife can find some kind of peace. I'm sorry your family had to go through all this, but it seems like it all worked out in its own way. You are a good mom, and your kids are lucky to have you. Your kids sound awesome, too. It sucks that it doesn't always work out, though. It is what it is. I think buying the neighbor's house isn't a bad idea, lol, but I know it'll be hard when they finally move out. Enjoy the time you have with them. It all goes by way too fast. Good luck to your family, and thanks for sharing your story." OP, thank you. I do hope they find peace and happiness, even if it means I won't be there to see it. It's all we can want for our kids in the end. I will keep praying on it until I'm gone, but of course my dream is for everybody to make up somehow. I know it's unlikely, but crazier things have happened. Yeah, I'm not going to drop the house thing. It's a nice house. It needs quite a few updates, but kind of like Cyril and Rosa's house, it's not so close that we'd just pop by constantly, but would be close enough that we could be there in minutes if needed. Plus, Letty will be attending grandma daycare for a few more years, and she would not appreciate a long commute. We'll see. Commenter 3 said, "I know how hard it is to have a family member alienated by a new spouse. Your heart aches and breaks with every new event when your family is fractured. Nothing is ever going to be the same, and no amount of argument or persuasion will change that. I recommend counseling to help you get through this process. It took me several years to stop trying to fix things I had zero control over. Until Luis decides he misses your family and makes the necessary changes, you are powerless. Focus on the family who wants you in their lives. Make new traditions. Step outside your comfort zone. Learn to let go, but tell Luis you will leave the door cracked open if he wants to reconnect. Just don't expect it. I think buying your church member's home is a marvelous idea. Investing in a home is always a good thing. By the way, our family member did come back about 10 years later. The relationship isn't the same, but at least we communicate. Good luck." OP, thank you. I'm glad your family member and you are in communication. I'm sure it can never be the same. I am in counseling, and it helps a lot. I do hope we end up buying the house. They obviously know me, and Letty usually comes with me, so that could help them with them being afraid that the house would go to a corporation. And of course, we'd pay a fair price. We have Cyril and Rosa money for their home so they could get a better rate, so nobody could complain. Not that they would, just saying. Hope you like this story. Like and subscribe to keep receiving the best stories in all Reddit.